Now it's this, the joining stitch. I'm going to make 3 double stitches. 1, 2, and 3. I'm going to put this kind of over here. So I'm going to kind of ball this up just so that I can grab it with my left hand. So I'm going to join into this open picot loop and through and on the needle. Okay, do the second half of the join. Make 3 picot loops. Make 3 double stitches. 2 and 3. And count again. Got 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, I'm gonna make 1 open picot loop, and that's the joining stitch. And then 1, 2, and 3. And then I'm gonna close that. And the great thing with the size 5 thread is you just pull it a little tighter and it untangles itself. I'm going to make my knot stay. Okay, I'm going to make the last ring of this clover. 1, 2, and 3. Okay, I'm going to join to this picot loop that you can barely see. There's one there, I promise. See? Right there. Push the needle up a little bit. Okay, now I'm going to make 2 picot loops separated by 3 double stitches each. 1, 2, and 3. Okay, and then for the last one, 1, 2, and 3. Kind of speeding through this just a little bit because making the loop, making the rings, or at least the small rings, isn't bad. It's mostly the joining that I want you to see. Okay, I'm going to flip this because I made the knot. I'm going to turn this just so I can work with it a little easier. Okay, now I'm going to make the chain. So we make 3 double stitches. I'm going to move that so you can see it. 1, 2, and 3. I'm going to join to that first picot loop. 1, 2, 3. Okay. Lost it there for a second. Yep. The great thing is on the on the chain, that center picot loop is gonna stay open. So it makes it really easy for counting purposes. 1, 2, 3. I'm gonna make the second picot loop. 1, 2, and 3. And then 1, 2, and 3. Since there's 2 different ways to do tatting, I have no idea if you could do this pattern with a shuttle. I've never tried. And I'm going to tie my knot. I'm going to flip this just because I need to be able to see what I'm doing. Okay, from here, I'm going to make the first 3 the first of the 3 rings to make the next clover. So it's going to be the 3 picot loops separated by 3 double stitches. Okay, I'm going to join the first one into the first picot loop of the previous ring. And then we're going to make the joining stitch that I don't add. Make 3 double stitches. 1, 2, and 3. I'm going to make another join into this next loop in front of me. And joining stitch and do 1, 2, and 3. So now we're going to make the last picot loop for this ring. 1, 2, and 3. That's separated by 3 double stitches. Gonna close that one. Okay. Now we're gonna make the next, ring that will be joined into the upper snowflake. And this one's going to be joined in all 3 of the open loops. And 3 stitches, 1, 2, and 3. So we're going to join into the previous ring. Come on, fingers. 1, 2, 3. Okay, now for the fun stuff. We're going to join in here. We're going to join in this little gap that we've made here from where these 2 joined earlier. And we're going to join into that last one. Okay, so this is where you kind of gotta play around with it, see how much you can grab in your hand. I'm naturally right-handed, so it makes it a little difficult trying to do stuff with my left hand sometimes. Okay, so we're gonna join into the first one. I'm just gonna flop this kind of forward so that I can show you what I'm doing. Gonna make the joining stitch, and we're gonna make 3 double stitches. 1, 2, and 3. Okay, I'm gonna flip this back so I can show you. I'm gonna join into where these two were joined. It's great because it makes an instant loop right there. Just kind of gotta play around with it for a minute. Okay, and then pull that through and make the joining stitch. Make 3 double stitches. 1, 2, and 3. I'm gonna flip this back just a little bit. We're gonna join into that last one. And back joining stitch. So we got 1, 2, 3 double stitches. Now I'm gonna double check my math. Got 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, we're gonna make 1 open picot loop, which will join into the next ring that I'm about to do. And then close that one. I kind of flip this around while I'm working on it just so that I can get my knots to play nicely. And there we go. So that is the first 2 places that we're going to join this bottom row into the row of the butterscotch colored snowflakes. So now we're going to make the 3rd ring out of that clover leaf. 1, 2, 3, which is the 3 picot loops separated by 3 double stitches. We're going to join this first one. Get out of my way. 1, 2, and 3. And then we're going to make the 2 open picot loops that will join into the next clover that we'll make. 1, 2, and 3. Which those are really tiny loops, but that's okay. And pull tightly. There we go. We'll make the knot. Keep it in place. I'm going to turn this because I'm going to make the next chain, and I kind of need it to where I can see everything. So put that down for a second. I'm going to make the first 3 double stitches out of the chain. 2 and 3. We're going to join into the first loop, which will now cause this chain that's on my left hand to have only the middle picot loop open, which is exactly what you want. Okay, and make 1, come on, fingers 2 and 3. This will be the open picot loop for this chain. 2 and 3. Okay, I'm going to make the last picot loop that will join into the next chain that we make. And close. Sort of. Come on. Okay. And then we'll make the knot. And then we're going to make the last clover that requires a join to it. As long as I don't drop that, we'll be good. Okay, so start at the knot. 2 and 3. So we're going to make the ring of 3 double stitches separated by 3, the ring of 3 picot loops separated by 3 double stitches. This pattern is very repetitive, but that's kind of a good thing. 2 and 3. And and join there. And kind of not flip, but just move it out of your way as you need to. And that's 2, and making the last one. 2 and 3. Okay, I'm gonna join this one, or sorry, close this one. Okay, we're gonna make the little middle ring, which will have the last join on it, and we're only gonna join in 2 places to this upper clover leaf. So we're going to make the first 3 double stitches, and unlike that gap, do that again. One, 2, and 3. Gonna join to the previous ring at the first picot loop. 2, and 3. Okay. Now for the fun joining. I'm going to join into the first picot loop. I'm going to make the second half of the join and then 3 double stitches, 1, 2, and 3. I'm going to make the last join for this particular ring. Okay, and joining stitch and 3 double stitches, 1, 2, and 3. Okay, now I'm just, when I get to this point, I double check how many picot loops I've made. So I've got 1, 2, 3. I'm gonna make 2 open ones, because this one that I'm working on right now will join into another snowflake later, or just be open depending on how many snowflakes you're adding. And the last picot loop to make 5, and close. And okay, I'm going to close this one. And that gets you a little halfway done. So to recap for this white chain, you're still going to make the 6 clover leaf sets, but you're only going to be joining just 3 of them into the chain of snowflakes that you've already started. And then once you get more of them done, you end up with this. And the great thing with this pattern is, because of the fact that it's all the same design, you can add as many as you need to. You can make it as small as you want, and then if you to add more, you just make more. And I would recommend just joining in from the middle and then just adding the white ones on, because it's just a little easier to have something to hold on to while you're joining stuff.